Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan at the European People's Party, and on behalf of the EPP, welcome to this episode of EPP Family Talks. Today, we are trying a new series. We are pioneering an at-home edition in this time of lockdown and as the holidays approach. So we're looking forward to this, something a little bit different, something a little bit homier. And for our first guest, we are very pleased to welcome with us member of the European Parliament, Pernille Weiss. We're trying to connect with her now. Welcome to all of our viewers. I see Alvaro, Robert, some whose names I can't recognize. Do we have Miss Weiss? I think she's still joining us. Just hello, Pernille Weiss. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to see you. Welcome. Thanks for you taking the time to be with us and for inviting us into your home for this first EPP Family Talks at Home edition.
You're welcome. Actually, it's first time that I use this, Insta Light. So that is what is the reason for my head being dancing a little bit.
Brilliant. It looks perfect. There are I see lots of hearts going by on the
Thank
side.
Thank you all.
So maybe just a first question about your home. Where is home for you? Where are you spending these days of lockdown?
Oh, my home is in Excel, in Brussels. It takes only 16, 17 minutes for me to walk to the parliament. So that is my home, my apartment, where I'm so lucky that I also have a little garden for my own. So yeah, that's my home right now while I'm here.
Very nice. And so you have been going to the parliament for days, for months. For these last weeks and months, whenever you can.
Yes, because I'm a single person delegation, so for us to keep up track on work, and also because I'm from the generation that likes stationary computers and the big desk and the printer. And since I'm the only one from my team who can be in the house every day, and also because I'm a nurse, I know how to take care of others and myself because of the infection risks. I've been on the office every day, every weekday. Yes.
Very interesting. I should have said in introducing you, you are. We're very proud that you are our member from the EPP, from Denmark, from the Conservative Volkspartij. And so what is it like being without your team in person, let's say in the parliament? Do you, I think when I watch committee meetings, for example, I often see there are very few members in there in the actual room sitting, very far apart with masks on, without the support staff there. I mean, what kind of challenges has that presented?
You really, really have to be awake and alert. Because you don't have these extra ears and eyes to help you to cover every thing that is being said. You are, as a politician, not a single person on an island. You work together with your team and also with the other colleagues in your group and also from the other groups, where you understand also that communication is not only what is being written or read from a paper. It's also the non-verbal communication where you really understand or better understand if people actually are listening to what you're saying, but also do they like what you say, or do they look like they're a little puzzled or whatever. So it has been and still is a struggle. We need to cope with that, and all the national parliaments around in Europe, they do too. All the parliaments in Europe has been open continuously since March. So also I felt kind of an obligation to continue to go to the parliament, but also to insist as far as I could to also take part in the committee meetings on site, also to bridge between colleagues who have to stay at home for any reason, and to be their ears and also sometimes voice on the ground if the technicalities are teasing us, if the web connections is falling out. Then I think it's very important that those of us who can be present, we are present, because politics is like football. It's a contact sport. You need to be in interaction and to actually see and sense the atmosphere around the work that you're doing. Of course, we have learned a lot from the digital tools, and some of them will hopefully remain in our toolbox of how we work in the future, because also a lot of resources can be saved, and we need to be cost efficient also in our political work. Again, we are democracy, and democracy is living people, creatures, co-creating, understanding, articulating with each other on multiple ways. So, yeah.
I think that's a great metaphor of the football match, the interactions, the teamwork, all of those different ways in which the interpersonal communication is so important. I'm wondering, once we're able to go back to normal interactions and meetings and committees and all these kind of things, if we will wish that we could somehow have like buttons and hearts and these kinds of things, because we've also gotten used to being able to express emotions with emojis and stickers. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But this is my first term as a member of the parliament, and I really have to also use this chance to send a greeting and a thank to all my colleagues in EPP, that since the very, very first day, although I am the only Dane in EPP, I have never ever felt alone. I have never ever felt that people are not seeing who I am because I'm only this little fish in the big bowl. We don't need emojis in real life, and that's why the real life is so important to protect also and nurture.
Let me ask you about something, just what you've said. So working with you during the campaign, even, it was great to see your success and your entrance into the parliament, your election on behalf of your party and into the EPP group. And one of the things I know you're really passionate about, because you campaigned on, is climate. And you're on the ENVI committee, the Committee for Environment and Public Health and Food Safety. So could I just ask you, when you look at the disruptions which this year has brought about, the COVID pandemic, what opportunities are there? What opportunities do you see for how Europe could take the chance to become greener?
I think the COVID has given us the burning platform where we really need now to create new jobs and also to create new hope for the future, because a lot of people have lost their jobs. So now actually the coronavirus invites us to begin the green transition on a very concrete way, and using all the technologies and solutions that we already have, for instance, within energy efficiency and the renovation wave, but also the offshore wind strategies, because we need a workforce of people. New jobs can be created there. So there's nothing to a crisis that you cannot use in a positive way. Also here, I actually think that we can turn the coronavirus as an instructor for the green transition, because now we have to deliver both CO2 reductions and job and security for a lot of families out there.
I know wind is something which Denmark does very well, as far as I understand, and maybe has a lot to teach.
Yeah, we have an awful lot of wind, and we had some crazy hippies 40, 50 years ago who built a windmill in Jutland, a very crazy project, but it sparked something in the SME entrepreneurships in Denmark. And hey, let's see where we are now today, that all Europe is wanting to have offshore wind to be one of the significant technologies of the future in Europe. That's brilliant.
So one of the things you just focused on is jobs. And I think in the context of this pandemic, getting people back to work is also dependent on getting people healthy and getting society safe and healthy again for people to be able to resume their normal lives. This is also something which your committee focuses on. Could I ask you, where are we in Europe with vaccines?
Oh, we are very good ahead. When I listen to my colleague Pernille, the coordinator of ENVI, Dr. Lise, he tells us that on various business areas in the pharma industry, we have a close collaboration between the EU institutions and these companies to ensure that vaccines will come to the European families ASAP, but also in a way where we can be safe that the vaccines are actually helping us and that they are not other problems related to the vaccines, because we really need to boost our will to have the vaccines to cover for the damages that can be made if not all or many people, 80% I've heard, should actually take the vaccine to cover us as a unit.
Well, thanks so much for your ongoing work in this committee and in all the other files that you're working on. I wanted to make sure that we take the opportunity in this at-home edition to ask you about your home, maybe some things a little more impersonal, or excuse me, more informal, more personal. The first,
it's okay. I'm like an open book. What would you like to know?
Well, the first question I have, my understanding is that you sort of contend with the ghost of a very famous Bruxellois who inhabited your house before you. And could you tell us the story of who that person is?
Yes, my ghost is actually Karl Marx, the socialist slash communist slash most damaging interpreted person maybe in our new history. He lived here in this house, in this building, 2 years when he actually wrote the Communistic Manifesto in 1846 to 48. And it's an old house, of course, and sometimes there is this special sound coming somewhere, and I imagine for myself that that's actually the ghost of Karl Marx, and he has not yet reached the other side to eternal peace. So he needs some help from my generation of politicians to heal the wounds of all the misinterpretations of his ideologies and concepts of how power must be used to create a more stable world. Because we must not ever forget amongst us as politicians that despite from a few of them, most of us, we want to change the world for the better. And maybe that is also what this ghost, this noise from the ghost of Karl Marx is telling me, that sorry for all the trouble I made, please, I can try to be the ghost and create an atmosphere that I can bring into the biggest political group in the European Parliament, the EPP group, that there are some work to be done, and actually that the ghost is asking EPP to do so. That's my little joke story about why I should happen to live here in this building.
Well, maybe for him, for this ghost, the dialectic has not yet worked itself out. So maybe.
Maybe. Actually, I can speak German, and I both read and speak German, so that shouldn't be a problem. But maybe I should do it out loud when I'm also alone.
Well, and if it were indeed his ghost haunting your house, that would be, there would be an additional irony there, given that he was a materialist. So
exactly, that's true.
Well, so you have a German, so you're Dane, you have a German influence there, let's say, in your house. You're living here in Brussels. My understanding is you also have some Dutch influence in the house, maybe some painting.
Oh yes, I do, a very big one. Now I will take my camera off this Insta light and then give you a little tour in my apartment. I really do like this area here with the stove. That's
Does your fireplace work?
Yes, it does. It actually does. But I put in big candles instead. It's easier for me. So this here is my Dutch painting.
So
isn't it fantastic?
Is this Fauvist or can you what are we looking at here?
It's over my bed. That's not a secret. But yeah, it's this woman. Is she dead or is she not? She's sitting on this couch, looking rather pale, but also a little ghostish. Maybe that's
Uh,
why Karl Marx he chose to lift
I think
himself up a
it
little bit.
must be
That he
fine.
see now there's a woman in his life on this painting. I don't know.
It's
Well, what is
there's
interesting.
even a spot there next to her for him.
Yeah, yeah, but I wouldn't take that spot because that's why I really like this painting. It has been around with me for 10 years now. It's 2.3 meters large, and I took it out of the frame to be able to take it with me in a more easy way. But what is interesting about this picture is that it could look a little bit naive, but if you go close, then you see that there are needles on the sofa, and that might explain for the blood and the way that she looks.
Wow, fascinating. I think it will take me some time to process all the different lessons to be drawn from this.
It used to be in my office when I had my office. This is my little garden.
So this is the respite, the sanctuary.
That's the sanctuary. Yes. Yeah. Actually, one of the bushes out there is shaped like the omega sign. And the omega sign is also equivalent to the sign of resistance. So yeah, maybe I'm revealing that I'm a metaphorical
I think
person.
as a non-politician, I think politics, needs metaphor because that's how we communicate. That's how we communicate, but how we understand life as well is through story, which is what metaphor does.
Actually, that's a book that has that name. Did you know that?
No.
Metaphors that we live by. It's a very famous book in social anthropology. Actually, and that's also what we must remember, and exactly in politics to boil down all our strategies and tactics and plans and whatever to something that is understandable and rememberable for people to do. So now I'm back on my sofa.
Well, I think this is a great spot to end the interview on, except I want to ask you one more question, which is a question we try to ask all of our guests, and it's a perfect segue also on what you just mentioned, which is the book called Metaphors to Live By. And so the question is there a book or a film or a series that you would recommend to us?
Yes, definitely. I'm a big fan of books and movies, but if I have to choose only one to recommend, it will be a book by the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, and he was also a theologist. He came from a very skilled family of priests, and he speculated all his life about what is love and why are we suffering and what energy is in human suffering when we have troubles in life, mostly in love. And he has written, do you have it? Works of Love?
That's my favorite one, but no,
exactly. And I
don't have it here.
Okay, I have it in Danish, both here and back home in Copenhagen, where I also have my home. It's a very important book for me, and especially that one from Søren Kierkegaard, because he wrote a lot, and it becomes more and more dark as he ages, although he dies very young. But this Works of Love is an examination of what is actually love, and where we as a reader are invited to understand, to get rid of the conditionality, our tendency to only give love if we get something back. And sometimes I remake this resemblance to also the works of power, that power for us as politicians is what we try to get and to hold and to discipline. But we must always remember that power is like love. It only stays by those who treat it well and who do not try to train it and discipline it and constrain too much. So works of love. It's a difficult book to read, so take your time, one chapter at a time. Maybe if you have heart problems, love troubles, it can be healing because it takes time to read one chapter, and during that time you don't make silly texts to your ex something. So it's also you can discipline yourself by reading how to be unconditionally in the works of love. So I will very much recommend that.
Well, thanks so much. I think that's perfect, and I think I could only second all of what you've just said. So, thanks so much for sharing your home with us, for sharing your work, what you're working on, and your passions and what you're interested in, and those words of advice as well. We always nice speaking with you. Hope you have a very nice holiday season coming up. And,
I will. Thank you. You
look
too.
forward to talking with you again soon. Thanks to all of our viewers. Please join us again next time. We will be having on Tuesday morning, the 8th of December at 11 o'clock, a Family Talks interview with our European Commissioner for Health and Food Safety, Stella Kyriakides. Have a great weekend and see you soon.
Hi.